Welcome back to the show. This is The Pulse. Now get ready to witness the ultimate celebration of Ghanaian football. It is the 6th annual Ghana Football Awards. Experience an evening of unrivaled glamour and high-octane excitement at the Grand Arena as we recognize and honor the best and brightest football stars in Ghana and Africa. Be prepared to reveal in an unforgettable night of entertainment and dazzling moments that will leave you breathless. Let's celebrate our stars on the 29th of June, a night that promises to be nothing short of extraordinary. Ghana Football Award is a Football Impact Africa initiative powered by Activate 360 and proudly supported by the multimedia group A&E Mediacom. Sponsors Club Beer, Safari Valley, and Big Lakes Sports and Games Lounge. Ghana Football Award celebrating the stars of our passion. Also, the multimedia group are the official free-to-air radio broadcast rights owners of Euro 2024, which is ongoing, and will deliver live commentary of selected games, including the opening game and the final, with our team of talented commentators and analysts on Joy FM, Love FM, Hits FM, Adom FM, Insura FM, and Asempa FM. Apart from the live radio commentary, the multimedia group has also curated custom Euro 2024 shows on radio, TV, and digital, as well as live viewing events, all aimed at delivering an unparalleled experience of the competition to our audience. The multimedia group is the proud, it has the broadcast right for the Euro 2024. And currently, Austria is leading Poland by a goal to nil. This is The Pulse here on Joy. Now, let's settle for our discussion this afternoon. Ghana wants a beacon of hope and progress in Africa. After gaining independence in 1957, now faces significant challenges. Despite its rich cultural resources, the nation has struggled to compete globally and provide for its citizens, leading to widespread poverty and deteriorating public services. Currently under an IMF program, Ghana grapples with rampant corruption, societal moral decline, and widespread indiscipline. And we've put together something for your viewing so that you can understand the facts very well. Well, the stagnation and regression of Ghana compared to rapidly developing Asian counterpart raise crucial questions about the effectiveness of its leadership and the role of its citizens. Now, as the country navigates these turbulent times, it is imperative to foster a dialogue on how both leaders and the populace can work together to revitalize Ghana's economy, restore integrity, and rebuild the social fabric. This afternoon, you want to find a solution. You can send a message highlighting what you find wrong with the country and what you believe can be done to address this. Our guests is Julius Kwame Anthony, Samson Tagore, John Essien, Abdul Majid, Abdul Halim, and they are our guests as we discuss this matter this afternoon. So let me bring in our guests if you are ready. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right.
Good afternoon.
Right. So, Julius, let me start with you. So, I mean, if I should ask you to describe the state of Ghana now, how will you describe it? Right. Julius, if you can unmute for me. Right, let me move to...
Thank you very much.
Yes, of course.
Ghana is in a state of crisis. I mean, a lot of people are disillusioned about the system. People don't think that there is any remedy to the solution, the problems we are facing as a country at the moment. We're in a country where today young people cannot simply afford a living. Inflation is at a record high. Nothing is working. And so I don't think that is a situation that can simply be described. Is unfathomable, the situation we are in. Few years ago, we do not think that we'll be having this conversation. How quickly things changed for Ghana, how quickly our fortunes seem to be dwindling, is something that is very surprising. And people now are leaving Ghana in droves. And those who are unable to leave are stuck here simply because they don't have the opportunity to go, or they can't afford it.
But Julius,
and those who have afforded going out of Ghana, you hear the kind of things they say about the country.
All right. So Julius,
they market Ghana in a bad light. They tell you that their foreign passports are better than the PhDs that we have in this country.
So Julius, this is supposed to be
important.
This is supposed to be your initial comments on this matter. Julius, this is supposed to be your initial comments on this matter. Let me bring in the other guests. Samson, if you are on, what would be your description of the country we find ourselves in today?
Well, thank you for having me this afternoon, and good afternoon to my co-panelists. Of course, we are in a very great despair. Ghana is in a very unhealthy state as we speak, because when you look at where we are coming from as a democratic country, having been under the rulership of foreign colonialism, this is not where we should be today, over 60 years of independence, most especially when we have a very stable and long-enduring fourth, republic. We should expect that we should be at the pinnacle of success in terms of our conditions of living, in terms of our economy, in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of good governance and good leadership. But if you sample all of these aforementioned, you will come to a very simple conclusion, which is the fact that the reason we are seeing the great despair among the generality of Ghanaians, most especially among the young people, and the deteriorating nature of the country largely can be attributed to the seemingly failure of leadership and governance that we have seen over, which has become very profound, especially if you ask me in the last 8 years, if you ask me. And so where we are today as a country, we are unhealthy as a country, because we don't have even economic integrity that as of today, over 60 years, we should still fare a bit okay under IMF, bailout and all of that. So we cannot, gloss over this reality. So we are not in a good state as a country as of today. Yeah.
John, are you on? John Asian.
Sure, I am.
So John, tell me your Ghana. Tell me your Ghana.
My Ghana, honestly, I would say that it's not really doing well as I would have expected it to be, because there's several things happening from leadership level to the citizens. And in general, Ghana is not really too good, but compared to other countries, I would say that it's not too bad as well, and there's more room for improvement. I'm sure that with just a matter of, time and some good initiatives and maybe plans or arrangements, proper government and all that, Ghana will soon be there, because the likes of America or the developed countries never got it easy when they were starting. I'm sure that they also have their own issues or challenges growing up, or when they were starting. And so I believe that even though Ghana as now is not really looking so healthy or so well, but I believe that it will get better.
All right. So we put the same question to our audience on social media, and this is the results that we got. So what is wrong with Ghana? Results from Joy News X or Twitter poll. So 58% say that 58% is blaming it on poor leadership. 5% is blaming the current state of the country on indiscipline of citizens. And of course, 37% says it's a combination of an indisciplined citizen and poor leadership. And these are those who came through to vote when we put this question on our X or Twitter page. What is wrong with Ghana? 58% says poor leadership, 5% says indiscipline of the citizens, and then 37% in both poor leadership and citizens also not disciplined. So, gentlemen, you, per your initial, comments on this matter, you have, if you like, open the states in which we find ourselves in. I just want us to focus on the solutions and what best you think can be done. Have we gotten to a stage where, there's nothing we can do about it? Some 10 years ago, some would say that we were 20 or 30 years behind the countries that have developed Now, some will say we are like 100 years behind. So, having come to the realization that we are not in a better place, my question will be, how do we move from where we are to where we want Ghana to be? Julius, perhaps I will start with you.
You know, I have made a consideration just this morning. What I've noticed about Ghana is that, you see, the extent of power that leadership has is what we have allowed those in leadership to take. Mm-hmm. And our core problem stems from the fact that we have allowed leadership to take too much power that we have forgotten that it is we who give that power. The people themselves must begin to realize that it is time to take power back. If we are all active citizens, we participate fully in what goes on in our governance, we contribute where necessary, and hold people to account. I think that that is the first place to start from. Because, you see, our democracy has been reduced to just voting and going back and watch those in elected office do whatever they like. The citizens must first bring themselves to the realization that, see, we can't go on voting and going to sit down. We must hold people to account. If you vote and for 4 years, a lot of things have gone on in this country. I mean, there's wanton, privatization of national resources going on, corruption at its apogee, draining of state resources into projects that you can't even make sense out of, like National Cathedral and all that. And citizens are just there watching, as if nothing is going on. Things are going to run back. That's the first point. Mm-hmm. The second point is that the kind of leadership that is being delivered for us, the people in our leadership must also realize that there are consequences for, drowning the country. And those consequences are that ultimately the masses would one day rise up against them. And if that realization does not come very soon, we are in trouble. Thirdly, we must make sure that we must nationalize to some extent our economy. Every day when we go about and we say that our GDP is that, our GDP is that, the critical question we must ask is what component of it belongs to Ghanaians? You would notice that even retail services at most parts of our cities are run by foreigners. Ordinary retail services are run by foreigners. So if you have foreigners, dominating your market, how do you expect your own citizens to survive that sort of system? And so we must now begin looking at what component of our GDP, that's the GMP, belongs to our citizens, and begin to put in strategic steps to make sure that we empower our own people one by one. And it's not about selling hotels to them. It's not about selling hotels to government officials. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a situation that ensures that, see, our market is actually controlled by Ghanaians. We have a situation where we have foreigners who import heavily into this country. And our citizens don't have such access, only because some people who have power have access to these foreigners. And so they bring them in, and then our own people have no leverage. We need to change that.
All right.
And the only way to change it fundamentally goes back to the first point I make. And that if citizens are awakened, if citizens are vigilant, then they can start demanding that this is what is due them. If we do that, then that's the first step forward.
All right.
Management of our own resources. What is going on?
Julius, let me allow your other colleagues to also come in. So, Samson, I mean, the sure. point has been made by Julius, the fact that we have poor leadership, and he says that we need to hold them accountable. The question is, are we doing that? And if we are not doing that, why are we not holding our leaders accountable? Some few minutes ago, before I brought you guys on, we're talking about the survey put together by the Ghana Statistical Service. 7.3 out of the 30 million population are living poor. And out of the 7.3, almost 50% are unemployed. And because of that, they have no access to education, to health, and other things that should come naturally to a citizen of this country. Now, election 2024 is just, 6 months away. The people who are crying and, blaming leadership for their poor state of health and living conditions are the same people who are defending what is right or what is wrong. So clearly, when you put the Ghanaian in the middle, you are asking, is it that he is so comfortable with his current state of affairs that he can't hold the people he's voted for to improve their life accountable?
Well, thank you very much. I think that to begin with, I agree totally with the position of Julius, because over the years, I have had the cause to believe that Ghanaians understand elections or democratic exercises such as elections to elect leaders to mean that going to the polls on the day of election, then they go and rest. But after voting people into authority, the most component of any of those practices is to hold them accountable. Because look, when you elect people, the intention is to get them better your life. And so when you go and sleep, they will do what they deem fit. And at the end of the day, when the electoral cycles beckons, they come back to you again with their theories and what have you to seek another re-election. And so we must begin at holding these duty bearers accountable.
Why are we not doing that? Why are we not doing that?
You see, we are not doing that because if you look at democratic architecture of the country Ghana throughout our independence, especially in the Fourth Republic, it has always been about voting on the day of election. That is our bane. We must reckon related. Elections goes beyond just voting on the day of election. A very critical component of election, of course, has to do with strict accountability. And so citizens must wake up. It is time for us to say that, look, if we put you in charge of our resources as a leader, we are going to hold you strictly accountable. But the funny thing is that these leaders are also aware of what they stand to lose should citizens hold them accountable. And so they find a very unsuspecting way of keeping the masses, especially okay with them by giving them stipends, especially within their party lines, depending on which party is in power. I'll give you examples.
Right.
For example, it will be a very good start point for, let's say, a member of the New Patriotic Party holding the same party to accountable when he or she feels that, look, this public policy or this particular government initiative is against the interests of the people of Ghana. For an on good behalf, the power you hold today applies. And so that is where we begin to hold them accountable.
But we are far from that realization. We are far from that realization. Even when someone is found even when somebody is found to have misconducted him or herself, you expect a nationalistic approach to dealing with the matter. Then it is reduced to party politics, MPP, NDC, and then eventually the people find a nice way to walk away from the mess. And then they are back to whatever they were accused of.
Look, that is largely because our fidelity is to our political party, but not what they do in the interest of the country. That is our problem. Because whether good or bad, what we say is that, look, it is my party. We have had occasions where people say, whether good or bad, my party first. That cannot engender collectivity in terms of holding leaders to street and blazing fire of accountability. And that is the point Julius is trying to make, which I very much agree with. Because you see, when leaders realize that, look, people are watching our actions in government or in leadership position, people are following, they will begin to do that which will not put them in a bad light. But if they know that whether good or bad, these people, they will still follow our party, then what it means is that they will have a way to equalize or run away from facing street accountability. Right. And we must begin to have very strong conversation on that. Look, where we are today as a country, we are in a very big mess. Look at corruption. It is at the highest of it. Look at how our public policies are not inuring to our collective interest. In recent time, not long ago, we are bedeviled with the issue of a cabinet minister going the purchase of state assets, which is a clear violation of many rules in this country, including the basic laws of the country, the 1992 Constitution. But you have people, not just ordinary people who are elected men and women, who are in positions of influence and authority, justifying these positions. So you begin to ask yourself, at what point in time do we draw the line that, look, as for this particular issue, we must wear some level of nationalistic opinion so that people will begin to realize that, look, you cannot, at the back of being a member of this party, ride on the wrong decisions and think that will come out.
All right. Let me allow John to have a bite of the conversation. And let me find out from John. John, for you, is all hope lost, or you think that things can get better?
Well, look, it's how the situation is in Ghana. Everybody, we're all saying that, yeah, we need to hold our leaders accountable. We need to do that. We need to do that and all that. But my question is, how do we hold them accountable? Because even within the government itself, we've seen cases or times that, there's been committees formed on some issues of corruption, and billions of dollars come into the news, and we hear of them that this amount of money has gone unaccounted for, and even themselves, they're unable to hold, so my issue here is that, that we don't have a system. I mean, our system is so porous to the extent that there's nothing you can do about it, and I'm sure that is why most of the youth would prefer going outside the country. Yes, I believe that something can be done, but the question which I find it hard to get answers to is, how do we hold them accountable? Is it only by hitting the streets? Yeah, we hold what's it called? Demonstrations, and it just ends at when a paper of a sort is presented to someone, and you have no idea where that paper or whatever those noise end up to. It's yes, it looks like all the solutions, we can talk about them theoretically with our math, with English and all that, but the question remains unanswered, no matter how we answer it. So honestly, I don't really know what exactly can be done. Because if currently I'm in Ghana, I've had the opportunity to, travel or live outside before. And I'm back to Ghana. And I think that with what I'm doing here, I feel very comfortable. And that is one thing that if you do not know, the picture will be painted to you as though outside there is okay. Yes, outside there is highly, highly okay than Ghana here. But then the issue and the challenges there, okay, you'd better pray that you get something to do down here and enjoy your citizenship. That is one thing that people do not know, because if you go over there, you're living like a high school student. You're living. Everything you do is about time, and it's not about indiscipline. How that somebody goes there and because the system is hard over there, so then they say you are lazy or you cannot work. The reality is that it is not easy over there. You're living like a high school student. You're time bound. You don't have your privacy. You don't have your privilege. And so I prefer living in Ghana here, because currently, with what I am doing here, I at least I get something which is okay. And so I wouldn't advocate that people should leave out there, leave Ghana and for any other country, but then should stay here. And we look for the answer to how to hold them accountable, how to make the system work, And I think that it has to start from the law enforcement agency. I'll give an example. I've been to the United Arab Emirates before, and over there, you don't see police chasing citizens, okay? You offend a rule, and by the next few minutes, you have an alert on your phone. You are in trouble, So the law enforcement agency is working. So when I believe that when that system alone is working, I think that is something would work.
I get you on that. I get you on that.
People do all kinds of things, and then they go scot-free. You hear ministers, MPs, and all politicians, even them, they're okay in a way. But then the so-called grassroots, who are always looking for opportunity to, also be given some kind of opportunity to do something or to benefit, are the ones, gingering all this corruption and all that. Okay, and John, so the question still remains unanswered to me, honestly. So how do we hold them accountable?
Exactly, John. So, I got this message from someone watching us from Kumasi, Sam says the problem in Ghana is facing is attributed to poor political system and bad leadership. Ghana ought to be better than where we are now. This is coming from Nana Prempe, Lead Education Africa. Sam says lack of leadership, greedy leadership, lack of love for country, family mindsets, and people just don't love the country. And finally, someone said corruption is our bane. Let me go up and then bring in Julius again. So Julius, we have election coming up in December, in 6 months. The people who have paraded themselves as a solution to our challenges, and having listened to them, are they addressing the very core? Do you have hope that beyond 2024, things will begin to take shape with the kind of leadership that are bidding to lead this country and the kind of messages that they are promising? Julius.
Certain, and that the very people who have plunged Ghana into the crisis we face today, I mean, business people would especially want to look at their spending capacity when it comes to their businesses, where when you exchange the same amount, say $10 million, you would have been getting somewhere around, $2.5 million some time ago, and now you'll be getting less than 150,000 for the same amount and all that.
Yes.
If those people, those same people, go about and promise the people that they are the ones going to reset the country, if those same people who have put taxes on their businesses such that they are unable to operate, tell them that elect them again and they are going to remove those taxes, I mean, the conclusion cannot be more apparent than this. If they are unable to do for you what they are promising you today, they would be unable to do it in the future. More so when they have been heard saying those same things some time back before they came into government. And so I do not think that the people in the present government, particularly Vice President Bawumia, who has the record of promising the same things being perpetuated by his own government, has a way of leading Ghana out of this crisis. What we need to do is to reset this country. And if we want to do that, there must be repudiation for the kind of conduct that the New Patriotic Party has put up in government. A total rejection of the New Patriotic Party must be the way forward. If we don't do that, then there is no political consequence for promising the people and failing. There's no political consequence for making promises and making statements which suggest to your audience that they are stupid. Because if you tell me that after levying a tax on me, I have to now vote for you and give you my mandate in exchange for removing that tax, it's like looking into my face and telling me I am stupid. There must be repudiation for that sort of behavior. And that is what Ghanaians must do come December 7, 2024. Beyond that, it is condoning the theft, it is condoning the corruption, it is condoning the misgovernance, it is condoning the mediocrity which the New Patriotic Party has put forward. And Ghanaians must be ready, willing, and be able to do this for us. If they don't do it, well, this country is doomed. That is all I can say.
But Samson, if the political class has failed, then what are the options available?
Well, the point is this. The argument is that, yes, the entire political class has failed and all those things. But that is an argument which has been systematically advanced by the New Patriotic Party to make sure that no difference is seen between the things that have happened in the past and the things that are happening now. Let's be honest with ourselves. The NDC was not a perfect party between the periods of 2008 to 2016. Far from that. There were wrong choices, there were mistakes, all of that. But for us to be made to believe that this level of misgovernance, this level of corruption, this level of, just wanton abandonment of duty, saying that I am not responsible for this, but claiming credit for that and all that, it has never happened in the history of this country before. Right. And issues that have never been politicized and weaponized. For the first time, the people who weaponize those same issues are unable to speak to them. Exchange rate, for example, was weaponized for the first time by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He's unable to speak to those issues today. And so for you to say that those issues exist under all of them is to deliberately, try to set aside the very things that distinguish one person from the other.
Let me bring in
not the case. Julius, and so the Ghanaians must see the difference.
Right, Julius,
Ghanaians must make sure that there's political rejection for that sort of behavior, and that is what we must do come December 2024.
So Samson, as you have your bite, so for you, is there absolute no hope in the political leadership? And when I talk about political leadership, I'm looking at all sides. If you take from when we won independence up until now, if the blame is put on the politician and there's no hope, then what are our options?
Great. I think that no matter how we look at it, Ghana will continue to be a democratic dispensation. And as a democratic country, we will always have politics as part and parcel of our leadership circle. And so even if we blame the politicians for our woes, we still will have to make do with them, looking into the future with hope. So the best thing to do is to put them on the right path that will endanger the progress agenda, the progress we all anticipate. Going forward, what we need to do is to look at characters or individuals or people who, on behalf of political parties, put themselves up for elections. And I have said that, look, the election 2024 has provided Ghanaians with a very clear scenario of knowing the intention of citizens for our leaders, for the progress of this country, and for the future we anticipate. Because we have a situation where two leading political parties are presenting before us people who have been in a very sensitive position of leadership. And I am talking about the NDC and the MPP. We had a situation where the NDC had John Dramani Mahama being the chairman of the economic management team. Likewise, the NPP presenting to us Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who is also the current chairman of the economic management team. So we had the opportunity to compare their achievements throughout their tenure of office.
Right.
We have to weigh what they have been able to achieve in terms of policy ideations, in terms of implementation, in terms of how they have fared with corruption, in terms of all of these issues that would position the economy, and say that, look, when we weigh the two of you, you had outweighed this person. We look into the future with the determination to succeed as a country with your leadership. And I think that at this point, like Gillian said, look, this station is independent, is fearless, and is credible. And I'm going to speak it as it is. Look, for anybody to think that we have elected people to be in charge of our economy for the past 8 years, where we have suffered unwarranted hardship, where we have seen corruption with careless abundance, where we have seen duty bearers with impunity in terms of management of our economy, it is the highest point of insult for anybody to come back to us and say that, look, all of these things I've said, forget about it. I was not the final decision maker. When you give me the final decision-making position, I am going to turn things around. Look, Ghanaians are going to judge all these leaders who are putting themselves up now by their work in the past and what they have achieved.
Something, thank you. Just 1 second there. There's a lot of interest in this subject, and people are already calling in. So we're going to put the number on the screens for you to call in if you want to contribute to this discussion. It's Friday, so we are taking it very easy here. Already we have Abena on the line. Abena, good evening and welcome to the Pulse.
Good evening, my brother. Thank you very much for having me on your program.
So Abena, tell me, are you happy with the state of affairs?
Honestly speaking, I would want to say that standard of living is high as compared to previous years. But I also want to believe, and it's true, that our country, Ghana, has gone through very difficult times in the past. This is not something new. Like in a building project, if the foundation is very solid and firm, it has to happen. We have to, in the days of J.J. Rollins, may he so rest in very perfect peace, we went through very difficult times where all Ghanaians wore the Rollins chain, the bows in our neck was all very prominent. We were patient. We went through the problem of Kalabuli, where you buy something at 12 midday, you go back at 1 p.m., and the price has tripled. We went through all this period. We went through the period of John Dramani Mahama, where after his 8 years, Ghanaians came together and they said, no, we want to try MPP. MPP has now come, and we are still suffering today. I would want to believe that in the 27 years of NDC, if they had built a solid foundation for this country, we will not be where we are today. Thank God. MPP, when you look back through all this that I'm speaking about, MPP is the only government that has credible policies that if Ghanaians, we are patient enough for them, they can bring this country to a place where we will all enjoy. My brother, can you imagine yourself sitting there right now that you cannot read and write? Can you imagine yourself?
Right. If you can conclude for me, Abena.
You cannot read and write.
So if you can conclude for me, Abena. If you can conclude for me.
PSHS, it's about the future. So we should be patient for Dr. Bawumia to come.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Abena. So the number is on your screen now. It's 030-221-1691. We have just some few minutes to wrap up this conversation. If you want to join, this is the perfect time. So let me bring in John. So John, we are wrapping up. I mean, let me pick your talks on the way forward. You've lived abroad. You've come back to Ghana. You say that even though things may not be okay, you are very comfortable because you are living in your own country. Some are desperate. They want to move out, and they are prepared to pay any amount to get that visa. What will be your final talks as we begin to wrap up?
Yes, so I think that in as much as things look disappointing, I still believe in the fact that the country will get better because it's not just, building a nation is not just one day or just, we're all talking about 60 years and all that. And a lot of mistakes have been made here and there over the period. And it looks as though it's such a long period that same silly mistakes and errors and so-called incompetent government and leadership have been have been in existence. But I still believe that, with time and when the right things are done, when the right lessons are learned, I'm sure that with time things will get better because we've seen countries who, didn't have much or they were really in desperate times. And now it's some way, somehow, things are getting better for them. The case of, Rwanda and other countries. So I still believe in Ghana.
Things can get better. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, John. Isaac has been on the line for some time now. Isaac, good evening. I'll give you 30 seconds to tell us what you think of the country Ghana.
All right, thank you, and I appreciate the time you have given to me. Honestly, we are not happy with what is happening in the country, and it's very much worrying. You look at current happenings, and it makes us have some doubts about the future of the country. But I'm a youth, and so I want to assure my colleague youth that you shouldn't lose hope. We always blame the politicians of some of these things, but trust me, there are places where you ask of what's happening. That's the very people blaming the politicians. We do even worse than what they do. I'm a teacher, and I can show you some of the things that colleagues do at school, instructional hours and other things, and they waste them. But in the end, we all come back and blame the politician.
Okay.
But if we want to build a country, I think it's a collective decision. We all sure that we do diligence in whatever we do. Other than that, the politician will still be doing things that are not pleasant to us. And then we also continue to do what we think is good in our sight. Meanwhile, it's not good. And then in the end, we will come back to class one. So I think in as much as the politician is to be blamed for most of our plight, I think we as citizens should also have a look at some of the things we do. It is a collective decision.
All right, thank you so much, Isaac. Because of time, I can't go back to my friends Julius and Samson, but you've made your point and you've made it quite forcefully. There are so many stories on myjoyonline.com. If you should visit myjoyonline.com. Medical laboratory workers suspend strike. 2 brothers shot in Bole. The Bole MP accuses Lands Minister of granting mining concession to foreigners. BEC might be postponed, but we have been told that government has paid 80 million of debt owed WAEC so that the BEC can come on successfully. Well, that's our show for today. It's been exciting. I've enjoyed the last conversation about the kind of Ghana we want and the kind of Ghana we have now. Hopefully, we'll have another platform to discuss this matter even further as we move towards the 2024 general elections. But whatever you are up to this weekend, I hope it's profitable. My name is Elton Bobby. As always, a pleasure to be with you on the Pulse. Good evening and take care.